Well, a great look into the Algorand Foundation. Now, here to introduce us to DeFi Algorand is David Garcia, Austin Wilshire, and Sebastian Quinn, and Benedetto Biondi. I'm really excited for this conversation, gentlemen. Please go ahead.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, LA Blockchain, and all the sponsors for giving us the time to talk here. My name is David Garcia. I am CEO and managing partner of Borderless Capital, one of the largest venture capital firms backing the Algorand ecosystem and the Algorand companies building on top of the blockchain. It's a pleasure for us to be part of this webinar and event, and I am super excited and glad to share this space with an amazing group of founders that are bravely building on top of the Algorand ecosystem. And as a disclosure, I have to say that they are all also Borderless Capital portfolio companies. So besides being with me in the panel, we are proud and happy investors in all of them. So I will stop talking, and I would love for all of you guys to introduce yourself. Benedetto, Austin, Sebastian, if you can start introducing yourself and sharing a little bit more about what you're building on top of Algorand, that will be great.
Thank you, David. I will take the word first. So I am Benedetto, and I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you, LA Blockchain Summit, for the invitation. I am the CEO of Folks.Finance. Folks.Finance is a capital markets protocol which offers decentralized financial services of borrowing and lending. We are very enthusiastic about this project, and we saw in Algorand the amazing partner for building this. We believe that Algorand is the best technology where to bet in future for decentralized finance, because we see in Algorand the real merging point between traditional finance and decentralized finance. Thanks to its unique characteristic of such as forklessness, security, scalability, and decentralization, this is a good bet. And for a lending protocol such as ours, it's very important to have such a trust. That's why we decided to be in this project, and we join in, and we are very happy to be there and looking forward to make this Algorand ecosystem great.
Great.
Awesome.
Austin?
Yeah. So I'm a contributor at xBacked DAO, and we're building a decentralized stablecoin for the Algorand ecosystem. And a big reason we wanted to build on Algorand is it's got a fantastic team and fantastic technology. And there wasn't a lot of people building, right? Like Yodlee, I'm sure Seb will tell you, they're like the first DeFi protocol in mainnet. And so what xBacked is looking to do is not only release this decentralized stablecoin, but also win the hearts and minds of developers and bring them into the ecosystem to build on top of a really strong layer one protocol that is integrating traditional finance, not ignoring it.
Thank you, Austin.
Should point out, David, that Austin, it's probably 3 a.m. in the morning where Austin is, so he's extremely dedicated to Algorand to be on this call right now. As Austin mentioned, I'm Sebastian, the founder of Yodlee, and we're the first DeFi protocol to launch on Algorand. So we have, staking. We have a no-loss prize game, and we have NFT prize games and NFT staking as well. I think we have around 20,000 users at any given day, perhaps around 100 million TBL. For the longest time until Algorand's governance came out, we were proudly the largest TBL on Algorand, but the only TBL on Algorand. So we're delighted to see more folks joining. We, as Austin mentioned and Benedetto did too, there's tremendous technical advantages to building on Algorand. Speed, scale. There's as Sean's already mentioned, there's a tremendous, environmental reason to be building on Algorand, and sort of extremely poignant given what's going on in the world right now. And and then there's just a terrific ecosystem and a great kind of commercial opportunity to build out core infrastructure in a long-lasting in our view, one of the a protocol that will stand the test of time. So yeah, we're very excited to have built what we have and to be welcoming more people into the ecosystem.
Awesome. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Benedetto. Thank you, Austin. One point that I want to talk is about how you mentioned, Sebastian, that you were the first protocol allowing TVL or funds to be locked in order to have economic incentives through the Algorand blockchain. But now that is changing. We also have another company that is not here, but it's Tinyman. We have the first automated market making protocol in the system. The TVL is growing there as well. We have the Algorand governance, which it's close to $3 billion or more, right, in total value lock. So, and one of the things that it's very interesting for me, Sebastian, is that you guys built a DeFi platform on top of the Algorand consensus, right? Because the lossless lottery is built on the opportunity for every algo holder to earn participation rewards, and you are pooling all those participation rewards, and a lucky winner is receiving that amount while also securing the Algorand blockchain. Do you guys see an opportunity to start building DeFi now on top of the Algorand governance program and all the different incentives that will come directly at the layer one as kind of the first core building block of future DeFi and capital market opportunities on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, our point of view is, it's an extremely early point in the ecosystem for DeFi on Algorand, or at least that was the case when we, launched in, Q1 this year. There's been tremendous growth across, I guess the DeFi primitives. So the opportunity for companies like Folks and and xBacked, and even the stable coins that actually already are on, the wrap stable coins on Algorand, to start seeing entrepreneurs building reward incentives or other economic incentives for the ecosystem. So whether it's lending, borrowing, swapping, I guess sort of LP style tokens, things like that. There is going to be and continues to be a lot more growth there. So what that means for us and anyone else building is that you start to have a lot more ingredients, I guess, to create more interesting products. Where there's a lot more latitude now to create varying incentive structures based on the governance. Just on the Algorand's governance itself, you can start to see with some of the bridge, all the companies that are speaking to us about bringing their products on Ethereum and bridging them over and building them out on Algorand, for example. You start to see a world where you're going to have these DeFi primitives that exist in other ecosystems also launching into Algorand. And so the ability to create new businesses or to create new products around that is sort of exponentially increasing. And so that's an extremely exciting place to be. Like there's too much opportunity in some respects. You have to be quite kind of thoughtful about where you deploy your developer resources, to make sure that you're tackling the things that in our view that we tackle the things that are going to be the highest hit the the intersection of the highest concentration of value add to the ecosystem and the most unique kind of product. So the next thing for us is going to be LP staking pools. So that will mean that will be a direct partnership or will piggyback off the growth that Tinyman is experiencing, the number of pools that they have with their swaps, and then providing an incentive for people to actually stake those LP tokens that they'll be rewarded with by providing liquidity in the AMM there. So that's one very clear example of cross-pollination or additional kind of an additional layer in the ecosystem that we couldn't have done. You need other participants in the space to do. And so I'm sure Austin and Benedetto can speak to that as well.
Before we jump to Austin, I have a question, Seb. When you are mentioning about these LP pools in yield refinance, are you planning to add additional incentives for liquidity providers like time lock? So basically, you are securing the liquidity, right? Because now, if you are a liquidity provider or a pooler, as Tiny Man refers to the people providing liquidity, you can come and go at any time. But if you have an opportunity and a higher incentive for providing liquidity in the longer term and make the price discovery of the assets more stable and more secure and more liquid, you should be compensated in a higher way. So what are your plans there in terms of launching LP pools in Yieldly?
Yeah, I mean, technically we're ready to go. I mean, those things are being audited currently by Halborn. So that's sort of probably 2 weeks away from being production ready post audit. The kind of, the way that we've sort of thought through how to create it has been, a consensus driven effort across all the different partners that have ASA tokens currently. There's a, all of the folks that are looking, all of the people, not Folks.Finance, but all of the people that are looking to launch products or ASAs and launch pools on TinyMan are experiencing that same thing. How do you make sure that you're providing, adequate incentives for, the liquidity or the pooling to be provided? So, there certainly will be, a variety of LP pools that will launch that will speak to exactly that. So it might be, 1 month lockup, might be a 6 month lockup, it might be daily lockups, or rewarded for providing pool, being a pooler, just to use the TinyMan language, be provided incentives for doing that, just at a day-to-day level as well. So the extent of and this is, I mean, one of the great advantages of TL5, which is the sort of latest iteration of the Algorand coding language, is that it's extraordinarily quick for our developers to implement changes to or to make changes to the smart contract to cater to whatever the specific partner that we're dealing with is after. If they want long lockups, short lockups, half-hour lockups, whatever that might be. So that is infinitely adaptable, and it looks like there'll be a variety of pools that will come out to suit different partner needs. So it might be, a partner need might be vesting, for example. They have vesting schedules every 3 months, so they want to keep things in lockstep with vesting. So you can have pools that do exactly that, and so there is a whole lot of things that we're able to do with those partners to to ensure that they're continuing to have the support from their groups that they're after.
Awesome.
I would like to add that I already said once to Sebastian that I'm very grateful to them, because they were like the first footprint of the Algorand DeFi ecosystem. And I remember once when we did the feasibility study of developing this lending protocol, it was 1 year ago almost, we saw that there was this project of DEXs being built, and we saw yield refinance. So it was like, okay, it's missing a lending protocol. We definitely should jump on this, and we believe that Algorand ecosystem could grow. And then when we met Borderless, we saw all these projects coming in, and this was amazing, because every one of us is growing together, and this makes it very, very beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah. Austin, your turn. You were going to share something about the governance DeFi, right?
Yeah, so I have some pretty strong thoughts on this. So in Sean's presentation, he spoke about how Algorand has a native governance protocol, and we're in the first governance period now, and the APY is a little over 17%, which essentially creates a risk-free rate, if you will, for the ecosystem, because I guess you can trust that the Algorand Foundation and Algorand Inc. have built a secure system. And so you can go and stake your algos and get your 17% APY just for participating in governance. And as Seb alluded to, TVL and Yieldly dropped. And I spoke to people that were staked in Yieldly, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to take that out and put it in governance. And I think that creates a really, really interesting dynamic for DeFi protocols, because we have to do one of two things to incentivize people to use our platform. One, have a better APY. Two, integrate with the governance protocol in a decentralized way. And so instead of staking through the governance portal or through my algo, people could participate in DeFi protocols like Yieldly, Folks, and xBacked, as well as participate in that DeFi protocol and in governance. Sorry, I think I messed up the order there. But you get what I'm saying. Because then users can have their cake and eat it too, and they get their governance APY and can govern the network, as well as using DeFi protocols. So I think that's really important, and I'm really excited to see the next iteration of the governance protocol for Algorand, because I would hope that they go the direction like, yeah, you can call it from any contract, you can interact with it, and everyone can be happy. Otherwise, it creates a tricky situation for DeFi protocols building on Algorand, I think, just because the incentive structure will be much in favor of governance.
So you are referring to the two options that are right now in governance to be both, correct?
Well, right now you've got option A, option B. I'm staunchly option B, which introduces this slashing mechanic. Now, some people say it's quite harsh, but I think, like, if you think about it, if option B was to come into reality, people would adjust their staking behavior for governance. So you would probably see APY climb, but you would also have many more algos in the ecosystem available to go into other protocols that have less strict lockups and less penalties or no penalties.
Yeah, and and you think that the impact in the inflation of the network on option B could be something of concern? Because from my perspective as an investor, if I am participating in governance and I am earning additional rewards, as an investor, I am learning algo and I will continue to participate in the ecosystem. So definitely I am looking to compoundedly participate more, right? So I don't see the inflation as a problem. I see more the inflation as an opportunity to increase the TVL in governance and make it stronger, actually. So those are my views personally. It's not Borderless Capital views. But yeah, I think that it will create a super interesting dynamics. People can go and participate in governance through xBacked, mint XUSD stablecoin, use that stablecoin to participate with their algos and XUSD in a tiny man pool to Yieldly finance. Seb will be amazing that those pools also have a token, so you can use that token to go and put as a collateral in Folks.Finance and borrow more algos to go and mint more XUSD and keep participating in governance. So we can really build and create the virtuous cycle of composability in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. And especially with the introduction of AVM 1.1 later this year, where we'll be able to have applications calling each other, that is going to be a very good day.
Yeah. I think that the Algorand Inc. team and the Algorand Foundation are working against the clock to make sure that development is done before the end of the year. I don't want to quote anyone else, but on the Algorand Inc. and Algorand Foundation, but I know that they are working very hard to make it happen before the end of the year. So are you guys working together in some projects? Are you guys working together in some composability opportunities? I know that for you, Seb, it's a little bit hard to talk because your token is live right now and it's operating in the market, but feel free to share whatever you feel comfortable to share.
Well, I mean, I think it is safe to say that any project that has an ASA in the works or has listed it, we're in an active conversation to, do a number of things with them. I think the most exciting one, has got to be the LP pool. I think that's, when we think about a healthy DeFi ecosystem, lending and borrowings there, swaps are there, LP staking's there, derivatives are there. And, Algorand at the moment, is we're getting to that point where all of those kind of critical pieces of, core foundational kind of DeFi products are now, about to be launched or have just launched. So, we're very excited for folks to join the fray. We're excited to see, what will happen then with, more, institutions or individuals that are, looking to utilize, borrowing and lending type actions that, you are seeing as super popular, on other protocols, and doing that without some of the, huge headaches that exist, especially in Ethereum. So, from our point of view, like we're very, very, being very fortunate to see a big uptick in, the number of partnerships, the cadence of those partnerships being delivered to market. I think we're sort of, at basically one a week with new pools at the moment, and don't sort of see that sort of changing, anytime in the near future. So that's terrific. And, as I think on Monday, for example, there's demo day for the Miami Accelerator, some of the teams. There's some teams in that accelerator, for example, that we're very excited to see, and we'll look to those some gaming NFT companies that I know we're very excited to start working with, on some NFT staking and things like that. So that's just a little foreshadowing of some things to come, without naming any names, but basically, if there is an ASA out there that we haven't spoken to, we apologize, and please reach out and have a chat. And the other part of the business that we're scaling up at the moment is the part of our BD team that's speaking to Ethereum and any EVM project to actually bridge them over and bring LP pools, and to bring just the traditional staking onto our platform as well. And with the advent of Tinyman, those conversations become a lot more straightforward, because people can see, that there's a whole lot of interest in Algorand. There's a huge community that's been untapped, as far as the EVM ecosystem or other ecosystems are concerned. And, now that there's a viable bridge and a viable, market maker, also automatic market maker or a swap in Algorand, then, it becomes quite compelling for a lot of projects to actually think quite seriously about what, bridging and then launching a pool on Tinyman and having an LP pool on Yieldly would be. And so, we're certainly deep in conversations there. And I think, bringing cross-chain, bringing proper cross-chain compatibility over to Algorand, allowing projects that, have suffered through, high gas and slow transactions, or, hacks or whatever it might have been, on another chain, to come and just, experience, the world over here, the sort of utopic DeFi experience that so far exists in Algorand, that we think that we get that right with one or two projects, and it will catalyze some migration over, and that also is something that we're very excited about.
Yeah, agree. And you guys were one of the first companies of trying to both make your users participate in staking, but also have the opportunity to engage with kind of the icon of your brand, which is the flamingos, right? And you guys, I will say that you guys kick off a huge wave of interest in the digital art and NFT space in Algorand, and with the yieldlings, and with the mingos, with the collected flamingos, and now the flamingo, it's kind of one very representative pet or animal in the Algorand ecosystem, thanks to Yieldly Finance. Why you guys decided to use a flamingo as your?
Yeah, I also want to know this.
That's a great question. I mean, I would say before we kind of unpack the very limited thought process that went into picking the flamingo, I would say that are the very fortunate beneficiaries of timing, and having a, of being a place for a already, engaged Algorand community to do things with DeFi. We make no claim in creating a community. We were a place that we were, had a product that people had been crying out for and very happy to see built on Algorand. And so, we are we very humbly recognize that, we're the beneficiaries of timing and the great work that the Algorand team has done in cultivating communities. And there is such a great energy within that, within our ecosystem, and we've sort of seen that come to life very viscerally with the huge number of NFTs and the great interest that people have in them. Yieldlings was a project, I guess, that came out of, was created by the artist Stitch Bob, and just came out of our, from within our community, sort of, without any assistance really from us. All we did was was help showcase what they were up to, and built tech around the NFTs to allow people to sort of express their interest in it. And that the numbers there speak for themselves. I think the first NFT staking we had for a yieldling was sort of 25 million US was staked to win one flamingo. So that's fantastic. It shows this huge amount of interest. As to why we chose the flamingo, I think we were just really quite keen to have something that's quite familiar, that's quite relatable, and is it's beautiful and unusual, but not too unattainable, I guess. We were sort of very happy to see that people like that, and we were sort of unsure if we should keep it, and took it to a vote. Like, we had an internal poll with the community, and people had taken a great liking to the flamingo, and so it's become the kind of icon and hero of our business, and we've donated to flamingo habitats around the world, and we've donated to wildlife preservation now as a result. So we take that quite seriously. I think it's a very nice counterpoint. I think the ape community exists elsewhere on other chains, and this is a very nice counterpoint to that as well.
It's amazing that thanks to Algorand, we are doing a couple of good things with blockchain, right? We are enabling a lot of people to participate. People with very small amount of money can participate in the Algorand DeFi space. I think that's the reason why Tiny Man is called Tiny Man. You don't need to be a whale to participate in Algorand DeFi. Any simple tiny man can join. And the other thing is that
we are the folks for the.
You are the fox, right? Every fox can participate in the capital markets in Algorand, but also at the same time we are running in a blockchain that cares about the planet, cares about the nature. So every transaction that is happening in the network, we are removing part of the carbon footprint that other blockchains are generating, right? So, and it's amazing to see that like founders like you, Sebastian, are focusing on giving back also. So it's not about just NFTs and creating community. It's about how that value that you are creating can go back to make the planet Earth a better place for everyone. At the end of the day, we are here and we need to take care of our planet. So it's amazing that we are all sharing that vision as part of the ecosystem, along with the Algorand Foundation that is taking the lead. That brings me to another project that started also a movement related to NFTs and planting trees around the world. The Algoanas. I will say, Austin, I love the Algoana that you guys got. I love the design of that NFT. It's unique. Not sure how you get it, but it's amazing.
Well, like working with the Algoanas to build that mascot, right? Because I like Yieldly from the beginning. I feel like the brand was very fun, but xBacked, like the branding is quite different. And I was thinking, like, man, like we obviously can't have a flamingo, but like there's no emoji I feel like that fits xBacked. But what we have decided to do is work with NFT artists in the ecosystem. And so every 6 months, like the community will vote on the next artist that we'll sort of commission a mascot for. And so we began with the Algorand. And like we've donated money, we've got the trees. The certificate for that should be here today. But I think that's how we're going to engage with the NFT community and sort of create a mascot for xBacked, and it will just be around the different NFT artists. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting, and I definitely like the angle of them planting trees. Like they initially wanted to plant, I can't remember what the goal was, but they're like
1,000 trees.
Oh.
But now they're like 15,000 trees or something like that, right? So
yeah, they've made a whole forest, many forests. Yeah, it's really good.
yeah, I know that, Benedetto, you are kind of entertaining that idea too, right? In Folks.Finance.
Yes, we
Not
are.
sure if you wanna share a little bit now.
Yes, it became this little guy that it is a Folks in very different ways, and you will love it. You will see. It's kind of surprise. There is one also for David as well.
Awesome, thank you. And I think that it's inspired in you guys. You are Italian founders. Algorand comes from one of the top Italian scientifics. So I think that the entire cultural approach of the Fox NFTs that you're building will come with that inspiration, right?
Yes, it's true. Yeah, you will see. You will see. I will tell you just some surprise that he will load many items. This is everything I can tell now.
Okay, great. So coming back to Algorand and DeFi. So is Algorand the next frontier for you guys? We have seen other blockchains, ecosystems, and other layer ones growing significantly. Some of them also have technical issues because the growth that they have. It seems like Algorand is not experienced this, and it could be an alternative option for those that didn't have a good experience in other blockchain spaces and other blockchain technologies. So do you guys believe that Algorand is prepared for an explosive growth in the next 6 to 12 months? Do you think that is the next frontier? I want to hear the opinion from each of you that are just dealing with the community, with other developers, and the ecosystem in general.
Yeah, so if I can begin. So in my idea, Algorand is playing very well this because they are acting in advance. They are not facing the problem. They are seeing it before. Because of course, when all of these protocols week came and many transactions will come, we can't forecast very well what will happen. But they are pre-grading before this came. So this is great, in my opinion. They are seeing this in the right way, how it should be done, instead then face and solve the problem, solve it at the foundation, which it is why Algorand has been built like this. What Silvio has done with Algorand is actually solve the problem at the layer, not face the issue later by scaling. So I'm totally confident that everything will be fine.
Yeah, definitely. Like having been in the ecosystem for a bit over like almost 6 months now, there like back when I joined, there was some stuff happening, but now there's a lot happening. Like it sounds like the Miami Accelerator is bringing some fantastic projects into the ecosystem. We also have projects like AlgoFi folks coming to mainnet and getting audited at the moment. And then we also have, oh man, it's slipping my mind right now. Oh no. There was something else that is like really exciting, apart from xBacked, obviously. But I'll maybe come back to me. Sorry, Seb, you can.
You're forgiving. It's 3 a.m., isn't it? So don't worry.
Well, there are many things I can share some, but it's better that comes from you guys. So I am not spoiling anything. But Seb, what do you think about Algorand in the next 6 to 12 months? Is the next frontier? You will experience explosive growth. I know that you believe that because you are all guys betting in the ecosystem, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think we need more projects in there, and there's been concrete things that are happening at an ecosystem level that are going to drive, further adoption. The two things working in parallel is the amount of capital pouring in to, be directly targeted at Algorand. So there's Algorand specific funds, brand name companies like Skybridge, XRP, Borderless, obviously, and elsewhere that, they have LPs that are telling them they have to deploy capital into this ecosystem for DeFi. The Algorand Foundation itself has come along, and put together a monster fund, 200-300 million to do that as well. So, that's one of the kind of tailwinds that will drive adoption. The other is the ease now, relatively speaking, of being able to actually build products on Algorand. So the Algorand virtual machine and the compilers between various languages will mean that any entrepreneur that is sort of proficient in sort of higher order languages, Python and whatnot, is able to, code much more straightforward or in a much more easy fashion, onto Algorand. And so, there is no compelling reason why there shouldn't be a sort of, I think the term that Scaramucci, the Skybridge founder, put out there was Algorand autumn. There's no reason why we shouldn't go from Solana summer to Algorand autumn and see that sort of be a long and prosperous time for the ecosystem. So there's a lot to like about what's happening. There's a lot of momentum behind it. There's continual interest from founders and projects from elsewhere to be building things here. The foundations are set for businesses to come in or entrepreneurs to come in and build a great number of DeFi products here and to see to make it as successful as anywhere else, if not more so. So we have built with that in mind, and we are we have not been disappointed with any of the kind of assumptions we made about the momentum in this space and the forces driving that. And we only see that sort of accelerating in speed and quantum.
Awesome. And if you guys have to just talk about what other products are important in the ecosystem that nobody else is building right now, because if we think that Algorand is the next frontier and we're going to experience an explosive growth during the next 6 to 12 months due to the technology, due to the entrepreneurs coming, due to the capital, what are the key components of this ecosystem that still needs to be built and why?
I have an idea. I'd like to see an Oracle on Algorand. Chainlink, if you're listening, come on over. Otherwise, an Algorand native Oracle, I think that still needs to exist anyway. And you saw in Solana the Pith Oracle. So they've come out and they compete with Chainlink on Solana. Chainlink isn't even on Solana because they've had some trouble, I've heard, integrating. So I think an Algorand native Oracle would be extremely valuable for everyone in the ecosystem. Chainlink is great, but they also have a higher barrier to entry. And while the ecosystem is still growing and about to go through that explosive growth phase, a native Algorand Oracle that can cater to the protocols and the current state of the ecosystem would be extremely important, I think.
It would be great that both Pith and Chainlink can come and work in the ecosystem, right?
So yeah. I agree with Austin because the Oracle and the DeFi application, they are strongly dependent from each other. So an Oracle itself, it wouldn't be so useful. But an Oracle with apps, it's so useful on the contrary. So it will come, and there are projects that are building this. So it's just a matter of time. And once this happens, of course, this will help also to bridge other protocol from other ecosystem to come, because if the path then is easier, I mean, it's already everything there. You just need to come.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to see. I mean, I think more, interest-generating native, on-chain interest would be great. Things like Compound or Aave on Algorand would be awesome. Having things that allow for more cross-chain compatibility. So if you could go and folks that could go over and harvest or yield generate elsewhere and bring that back on chain, I think that would be really valuable. And I think the other part is oracles and bridges that sort of been planted at a very high level with one of the funds to say that two kind of core things they want to invest around. And so more bridges across other ecosystems that could do with being on Algorand would be great as well. Whether it's Avalanche, Binance, wherever.
Yeah, I know that also we are all working, and we are also proud investors of a company called Algorand that is bringing a lot of assets to the ecosystem, starting with Bitcoin, right? We will have the first wrapped Bitcoin natively built for Algorand, not using the version that it's in EVM compatible blockchains. And I think that will create a lot of opportunities on the capital market space using the native store of value in blockchain, which is Bitcoin, as a core asset in the ecosystem, but with the capacity of settlement and smart contract capabilities that Algorand has, right? So with the wrapped Bitcoin version that Algorand is bringing to the ecosystem, we can enable a lot of use cases, including, for example, payments, right? How you can use Bitcoin to have a collateral and get a flash loan to pay for a coffee without selling your Bitcoin in 4 seconds or in 2 seconds. That's a use case that will combine both DeFi and TradingFi at the same time. So things like that. And by the way, we from Borderless Capital, we are super excited to talk and discuss ideas with entrepreneurs and developers. So if any of you listening to this webinar are looking to start building an Algorand, we are happy to entertain a conversation and see how we can collaborate. I assume that you also, Gilly, xBacked, and Folks.Finance are open to collaboration as well. So reach out to us. We are happy to help you on developing the ecosystem, on getting access to the ecosystem, on using all the resources that are available in the ecosystem, directly from the foundation, but also from ecosystem players like us, right? That we are driving the ecosystem independently as well. So just the last 2 minutes before we finish this session, you guys took a brave step of starting to build in a blockchain and an ecosystem that is very early, and the tools and resources were not the same that are now 6 months back. So what will be your recommendation for a traditional developer and a blockchain developer as well to start that wants to start building something in blockchain, and why Algorand? And just a comment on that, and I will let you go. It's one big thing that we as a fund are seeing is that it's a little bit hard for some of the 100,000 developers to change their mindset of how to build applications using the Ethereum virtual machine model. But when we are talking about the millions of traditional developers that wants to come to blockchain, we think that the learning curve and the process to start developing an Algorand is much faster, is much secure. And if you have to make a decision from scratch, not knowing about blockchain development, definitely Algorand has a superiority in terms of technologies and resources. So I will stop there, and it will be great if you can share your tips and some of your advice with future entrepreneurs and developers that are coming to the ecosystem.
Yeah, so for me, I would like to bring our experience. So I remember once when we began the Algorand Europe Accelerator, we had several issues with developing, but the Algorand developers team were so helpful to us. They were always ready to help, and we had like timeline to arrive to the demo day of the accelerator with a live demo of the protocol, and it was kind of difficult, but we did, also thanks to them. So I suggest you to come in, and it's a beautiful ecosystem, and it's all advantages to join and begin these projects on Algorand, new projects.
Yes. definitely. To add to that, working with Algorand Inc., and their solutions architect has been really, really valuable. At xBacked, we have taken quite a bold bet on a project called Reach Lang. So reach.sh is the site. And as a developer, reading through the Algorand docs, it was fairly intimidating looking at teal code and that sort of thing. What Reach does is it's a completely different paradigm to creating smart contracts. And it abstracts away a lot and then formally verifies your application at compile time. And so the language is much closer to JavaScript style syntax. So it's quite friendly to those millions of developers out there programming JavaScript at the moment. And their community is also fantastic. You can jump into their Discord, to the help channel, and ask a question, and they're very responsive. So that would be my big recommendation to those looking to build on Algorand, is check out Reach. And they're also great guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's great new languages that you don't have to code straight into the machine. So Reach is one, PyTeal's another. Just look at the libraries and have a go. And I would say, if there's any avionics engineers out there, that Teal is very, very similar in logic to that. And so, we have PhDs in, mech engineering and avionics, and the logic is so innate to that way of thinking. So, there might be folks out there who are in that type of stream that haven't contemplated being a blockchain coder. But we would very much welcome any conversations with anyone who sits into that category as well.
Awesome, great. So we are running a little bit out of time, and we are over the time that we have accommodated for this session. So thank you again, Benedetto, Austin, Sebastian. Thank you for the work that you are doing in the ecosystem. As I mentioned in the beginning, we are super happy to work with you. We are super proud investors and looking forward to keep collaborating with you, not only as an investor, but as a user of all your protocols that you are building. Keep creating the virtuous cycle, as we call it in Borderless Capital, to make sure that you can add value to each other. And thank you also to the audience that took the time to hear us here today. And we welcome everyone to reach out to us if you want to learn more about the Algorand ecosystem, about Borderless Capital, or about the companies that are joining in now or also are part of the ecosystem. So thank you so much for your time, and bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.